Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date with all of our latest videos. And of course, if you find this video fascinating, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Today, we're taking you back millions of years to a time and place that feels straight out of a horror movie, prehistoric Australia. This was an era where the landscapes were filled with enormous, strange, and downright terrifying creatures. It was a world that, even by today's standards, was practically nightmare fuel. Let's start by setting the stage for this terrifying journey. Setting the scene, the ever-shifting prehistoric landscape of Australia. Before we dive into the terrifying creatures that roamed Australia, let's take a closer look at the ancient land itself. Modern Australia might be famous for its vast deserts, dense eucalyptus forests, and unique animals like kangaroos and koalas. But millions of years ago, this continent looked completely different. Over vast spans of time, the environment and climate of Australia underwent drastic transformations. There were periods when lush rainforests covered the land, followed by eras when inland seas turned the landscape into a world of islands and marshes. These shifting ecosystems laid the groundwork for a collection of species that evolved in isolation, becoming some of the most bizarre and terrifying creatures to ever exist. During these ancient periods, Australia was still connected to the supercontinent known as Gondwana, which included land masses that are now South America, Africa, and Antarctica. This early connectivity allowed species to migrate across continents before eventually becoming isolated as tectonic shifts pulled Australia away. Over millions of years, this separation led to a distinct evolutionary path, and with it, the emergence of uniquely Australian megafauna that wouldn't have looked out of place in a horror film. Ready to dive into the strange and terrifying world of these creatures? Let's start with the gigantic, prehistoric animals collectively known as megafauna. The megafauna of Australia, giant creatures from an ancient age. Imagine stepping back in time to a land where colossal animals towered over the landscape. Today, we're accustomed to seeing kangaroos and wombats hopping or lumbering around. But the prehistoric counterparts of these animals were far, far larger. One of the most iconic creatures from this era was Diprotodon, the largest marsupial ever to walk the earth. Standing about as tall as a rhinoceros and weighing in at an astonishing 3.5 tons, Diprotodon was like a supersized wombat with immense power and size. Although it was an herbivore, its size alone would have made it a formidable presence. Imagine walking through a dense prehistoric forest and coming face to face with a herd of these massive creatures. The sight of their sheer size would leave anyone in awe and perhaps a little terrified, but Diprotodon was only one of many colossal animals in prehistoric Australia. Another giant from this period was Megalania, a massive goanna or monitor lizard that dwarfed any modern-day reptile. Picture the largest lizard you've ever seen, then multiply its size several times over. Megalania could grow up to 23 feet long and weigh more than 1,000 pounds, making it one of the largest terrestrial lizards to have ever existed. It was a predator, likely hunting mammals and other sizable animals, possibly even early humans. With a body that powerful and jaws filled with sharp teeth, Megalania was basically a Komodo dragon on steroids. Imagine an encounter with this giant lizard in the dense Australian bush. Just thinking about it is enough to give you chills. Terror birds, giant, flightless, and predatory. Australia wasn't just home to enormous reptiles, it also had its share of colossal birds that make today's emus and cassowaries look tame by comparison. One of the most menacing of these was Genyornis, a member of a group commonly referred to as terror birds. Genyornis stood around 7 feet tall and weighed upwards of 500 pounds. This bird was flightless, but with its powerful legs and sharp beak, it didn't need to fly to be a terrifying predator. With its size and strength, it's easy to imagine Genyornis chasing down small to medium-sized animals for its meals. In fact, there's evidence to suggest that early humans in Australia might have had encounters with these towering, aggressive birds, which would have been a truly terrifying experience. And believe it or not, Genyornis wasn't even the largest bird in Australia during that era, but we'll come back to that. Monsters of the ancient seas, Australia's prehistoric marine predators. Not all of Australia's ancient horrors stayed on land. The seas surrounding the prehistoric continent were just as terrifying. One of the most infamous marine creatures of the time was Kronosaurus, a massive marine reptile from the pliosaur family. Kronosaurus was a short-necked plesiosaur that grew up to 33 feet in length and had an incredibly powerful bite. Its mouth was filled with sharp, conical teeth that were perfect for grasping and tearing through its prey, which included fish, squids, and even other marine reptiles. Imagine swimming in the ancient seas, unaware that a Kronosaurus lurked below, ready to strike. This predator was like a prehistoric version of a killer whale, only with an even more fearsome appearance. Today's oceans hold their share of formidable creatures, but they pale in comparison to these ancient monsters. It's hard not to feel a shiver when you think about encountering a Kronosaurus beneath the waves where escape would be nearly impossible. Thylacoleo, the marsupial lion and apex predator. If you thought Australia's prehistoric landscape couldn't get any more terrifying, think again. Among its most fearsome predators was Thylacoleo, also known as the marsupial lion. Don't be fooled by the name. Thylacoleo wasn't a lion as we know it, but rather a marsupial that had evolved into a powerful predator. This animal had jaw muscles that allowed it to deliver an incredibly strong bite, and its sharp, scissor-like teeth could slice through flesh with ease. With retractable claws and powerful limbs, Thylacoleo was an efficient ambush predator, lying in wait for its prey and then attacking with deadly precision. Though it was smaller than some of the megafauna it hunted, Thylacoleo made up for its size with its ruthless hunting strategy. Standing about 2 feet at the shoulder and weighing around 200 pounds, this predator could take down animals much larger than itself. Imagine walking through the prehistoric Australian outback with the knowledge that a Thylacoleo might be stalking you from the shadows, ready to strike at any moment. It's like something straight out of a horror movie. Giant serpents, the monstrous snakes of prehistoric Australia. If you're uneasy about snakes, then Australia's ancient serpents are guaranteed to raise your pulse. One of these was Wanambi, a giant, non-venomous constrictor that grew up to 20 feet long. Like today's pythons and anacondas, Wanambi didn't need venom to overpower its prey. It used its sheer size and strength to wrap around animals, squeezing them until they could no longer breathe before swallowing them whole. Wanambi was an ambush predator, hiding in water holes or dense vegetation and waiting for unsuspecting animals to come too close. For any smaller animals, or even young members of the larger megafauna, Wanambi would have been a silent and deadly threat. Imagine walking by a river or lake and seeing a massive snake coiled on the shore, its eyes watching your every move. With no warning, it could lunge and wrap its coils around you, an encounter that would be practically inescapable. The very idea of sharing an ecosystem with such massive, silent predators is spine-chilling. But Wanambi wasn't alone in the world of ancient snakes. The prehistoric landscape was likely home to a variety of serpents, and as fearsome as it was, Wanambi was just one among many. The presence of such predators added an extra layer of danger to an already treacherous environment. The brutal extinction, why these creatures disappeared. The age of Australia's megafauna came to an end around 40,000 years ago, and scientists are still trying to determine exactly why. Some researchers believe that a combination of climate change and human activity led to their extinction. As the climate gradually shifted, Australia became drier and less hospitable to large animals that required vast amounts of food and water. The spread of humans across the continent added additional pressures. With new tools and techniques, early human inhabitants could hunt even the largest of creatures, altering the ecosystem. There's evidence that human hunters might have specifically targeted megafauna, which would have already been struggling to adapt to the changing climate. Fire was also a tool used by humans to clear land, which could have disrupted the natural habitats these animals relied upon. This 1-2 punch, climate change combined with human impact, proved to be devastating. Over time, these once dominant creatures dwindled in numbers and eventually vanished from the Australian landscape. Why prehistoric Australia fascinates us today. Australia's ancient creatures continue to captivate scientists and enthusiasts alike. There's something about the thought of enormous, fearsome animals roaming the land that fascinates us. These creatures have left behind only fossils and the faintest echoes of their existence, but their legacy lives on in our imaginations. For researchers, studying these creatures offers insights into how life on Earth has evolved, adapted, and changed in response to shifting environments and human presence. And for the rest of us, there's a certain thrill in imagining a world where such creatures once thrived. From the terrifying Megalania to the cunning Thylacoleo, each of these animals represents a time when Australia was a land of giants. A place where nature was both awe-inspiring and filled with danger at every turn. It's incredible to think about just how much life on Earth has transformed over millions of years, and Australia is a perfect reminder of the planet's remarkable and sometimes terrifying evolutionary journey. From tropical forests to desolate deserts, from giant birds to massive reptiles, ancient Australia was a world that could only exist in our wildest dreams or nightmares. Thank you all for joining me on this journey back in time. I hope you enjoyed learning about the incredible and terrifying creatures that once called Australia home. If you'd like to see more videos exploring the wild and prehistoric past, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you found it fascinating, and make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you won't miss out on our next journey into the strange and mysterious world of prehistory. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and keep imagining the wonders of our planet's past. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.